Welcome back to Apex Sci-Fi. In the strategic manuals of the Galactic hegemony, time is the most valuable resource. Every commander knows that a soldier is a biological engine, and every engine requires a cooling down period. This is known as the universal law of cognitive decay. Most sentient species, from the noble crystalline Zarthians to the massive armored Vashkal, have a biological hard reset. Their brains literally cease to function effectively after 14 hours of activity. Their neural pathways begin to misfire, their reaction times drop by 80%, and eventually their biology forces a shutdown. They call it the vulnerability window. Because of this, galactic warfare has always been a game of shifts. You attack, you retreat to sleep, and your fresh reserves take over. It is a polite, rhythmic cycle of violence. But when the Vashkal Empire invaded the border world of Aegis 7, they encountered a glitch in the law of nature. They encountered the Terran 4th Infantry, better known as the Sleepless Legion. To the Vashkal, sleep is a sacred necessity. To the humans of the 4th Infantry, sleep was a luxury they had traded for caffeine, adrenaline, and a terrifying psychological state known as the 1,000-yard stare. This is the story of the siege of Fort Resolute, the 7 days that broke the Vashkal military, not through superior firepower, but through the sheer horror of an enemy that simply refused to close its eyes. The Vashkal High Command was legendary for its mathematical approach to siege warfare. General Vorik, a four-armed tactician with a mind like a supercomputer, had calculated the fall of Fort Resolute down to the hour. The humans have 3,000 soldiers, Vorik noted during the initial briefing. We have 10,000. We will rotate our divisions every 8 hours. By the third day, the humans will have reached their biological limit. Their aim will falter. Their coordination will vanish. On the dawn of the fourth day, we will walk over their corpses while they sleep. The plan was perfect. On day 1, the Vashkal launched a relentless bombardment, followed by a wave of infantry. The humans held. On day 2, Vorik sent in his elite night raiders, assuming the humans would be sluggish. Instead, he met a wall of precise, angry fire. A fluke, Vorik reasoned. They are using stimulants. They will crash harder by day 3. But day 3 came and went. Then day 4. Then day 5. Inside Fort Resolute, the air smelled of ozone, copper, and the bitter, burnt aroma of pre-war roasted coffee, a substance the Vashkal scanners identified as a mild neurostimulant, but which the humans treated like holy water. Sergeant Miller, a man who hadn't seen a bed in 120 hours, sat in the mud of the front trench. His skin was pale, his hands were shaking with a fine rhythmic tremor, and his eyes were the most terrifying thing about him. They were wide, fixed, and traced with red veins like a map of a dying star. He wasn't just awake, he was in a state of hypervigilance that bordered on psychosis. Every time a Vashkal scout moved in the tall grass 300 meters away, Miller's rifle would bark once. One shot. One kill. By day 6, the Vashkal army was experiencing a psychological breakdown. They were fresh, well-rested, and well-fed, but they were terrified. The rumors had spread through the ranks. The humans weren't biological. They were demons. They were ghosts. They do not rotate, a Vashkal survivor whimpered in the medical bay. I watched the same human standing on that parapet for 3 sun cycles. He does not sit. He does not blink. When we attack at night, he is there. When we attack at dawn, he is there. They are watching us. They are always watching us. General Vorik refused to believe it. He ordered a final massive assault on the 7th night. They are at the point of total neural collapse. Vorik screamed. Their brains are melting from the inside. Move in and end this. The Vashkal moved through the darkness, using their advanced thermal optics. They expected to find a fortress of exhausted, stumbling shadows. Instead, they found a nightmare. As they breached the outer wall, the humans didn't scream battle cries. They were silent. The only sound was the clicking of magazines and the ragged, heavy breathing of men who had bypassed the need for rest. The humans moved with a strange, jerky precision. They were using stimpaks, chemical cocktails that forced their hearts to pump and their eyes to stay open long after the body had given up. Miller stood at the breach, his face caked in dry blood and mud. He looked like a corpse that had forgotten to lie down. When a Vashkal commander charged him, Miller didn't even use his rifle. He parried the alien's blade with a shovel and moved with a terrifying, twitchy speed that ignored the laws of exhaustion. He wasn't fighting with skill anymore. He was fighting with the raw, animalistic survival instinct of a brain that had entered a permanent fight-or-flight loop. They are still awake, the Vashkal comms exploded with panic. The humans are hallucinating, but they are still firing. They are laughing in the dark. General, we cannot break them. They don't need to sleep. They don't need to sleep. The Vashkal broke. For the first time in their history, an elite Vashkal division retreated from a numerically inferior force. They fled back to their landing ships, pursued by the sound of human laughter, a dry, hacking sound that echoed across the plains of Aegis 7. When the relief fleet finally arrived to save Fort Resolute, they found the 4th Infantry still at their posts. The battle was over, the enemy was gone, but the sleepless legion was still staring into the horizon. It took the medics 48 hours to chemically sedate the soldiers. Their bodies were so flooded with adrenaline and caffeine that even a standard tranquilizer wouldn't work. They had to be forced into sleep, their minds clawing to stay awake even as their organs began to fail. General Vorik's final report to the Vashkal Emperor was short and haunting. We cannot defeat the humans. Not because of their weapons but because of their relationship with time. To us, time is a cycle of rest and action. To a human, time is a weapon to be ground down until the enemy breaks. They do not sleep and therefore they do not have a vulnerability window. How do you kill an enemy that is still aiming at you while his brain is technically shutting down? You don't. You run. Today the 4th Infantry carries the nickname the Sandmen, but the galaxy knows them by a different title, the Sleepless Legion. They are the soldiers you send when a position must be held at all costs, through any night, against any odds. Because a human can go for a week without sleep, and in that week, they can do enough damage to haunt a civilization for 1,000 years. This has been Apex Sci-Fi. We aren't the strongest, but we are the only ones who can turn a biological necessity into a tactical choice. If you've ever stayed up all night and felt that strange second wind energy, hit that like button. You've had a taste of the Legion. Comment below, how many hours have you gone without sleep and did you start seeing things in the shadows? Subscribe. And try to get some rest. If the enemy lets you. Lights out.